right. Well, welcome everyone to Sealing the Deal, Top Ways to Connect with Insurance Clients and Sell More Policies. I'm joined by our panel of thought leaders, and I'll have them introduce themselves right now and their experience and where they're from.
Hi, I'm Christine McCorkle. I am with Brown's Insurance Agency. We're now a KAP LLC company. And I have been in personal lines insurance since 2011, so coming up on 15 years. And I focus is primarily in personal lines, and it's a great business to be in.
My name is Samantha Davis. I am in Oklahoma. I work for Farmers Insurance. My husband and I own the agency together, and I've been in insurance since 2018. Primary focus is personal lines. We do commercial. My husband, that's his specialty. My passion is life, though. I love life insurance.
Okay, and I'm Lester Mosley. I'm here in Atlanta, Georgia, with Farmers Insurance. I've been an agent since 2015, and yeah, my main focus too, as well as personal lines, do some commercial stuff too, as well as life.
Awesome. Christine, Samantha, and Lester are all text request customers. I'm Jessica York. I'm our content manager, and I've worked with Christine, Samantha, and Lester through our Champions Club and through our case studies. They're all wonderful, and we're so excited to have them here sharing their expertise with you. The big goal of this panel is just to share the cool things that our customers are doing and spread advice to help everyone communicate better with their customers. So I will just dive right on in with the first question for our panelists. What are the current largest challenges with prospecting new clients that you're seeing? And I guess as I see you on my screen, I'll start with Christine and just go down the line.
Yeah, I think right now for us, I am not a producer, so I'm not necessarily boots on the ground, but um, for us, it's getting like good leads that don't just totally dead end. And then even once we maybe have started a conversation, just getting people to call us back is sometimes an issue. So occasionally we get a really, really great prospect or a great lead. And they're super communicative and it's wonderful, but that's not always the case. I think a lot of times just actually getting in communication with the person has been a stumbling block.
Yeah.
Samantha, what about you? What's the biggest challenges that
I
you're
would
seeing right
agree.
now?
I would agree with everything Christine said. We're in a economical focused environment right now where here in Oklahoma, our rates are astronomically high. We're one of the highest loss states. And so at Farmers, we really put a big emphasis on value and the difference in what carriers have to offer. And that's hard to get anyone to kind of respond because we are going to lead with values. At the end of the day, as an agent, when your client has a loss, you want to be able to say, hey, man, I got you taken care of. And people today are shopping based on premium alone, not caring what kind of coverages they have. And so when they're shopping online, it's not just that we're not getting good leads. They're not putting in all of their accurate information because they know as soon as they put their information in, they're going to get inundated with calls. So we get a lot of miscommunication as far as birth dates and address because they think, if I'll put wrong information in, I can still get a good quote and not be bothered at the same time, which makes it really difficult to even get someone on the phone. And once we do, the first thing they say is, what's the price? And we're like, well, it takes time to get to the
Right.
price. I need to ask you some questions. And people are just guarded. I understand it. It's hard to trust people in today's economy. So building that rapport with them immediately is key. If you don't build rapport within the first few minutes, you're going to lose them.
Awesome. And then Lester, are you seeing the similar things or anything new or different that
Yes, I
hasn't been
would
mentioned
say
yet?
I agree with as everything they said for sure is definitely accurate. The other thing too that I would add to it, nowadays with how marketing is going and all of these calls and texts and emails, is a lot of spam, and then differentiating yourself, from being a real person, or if it's spam, a lot of people's not responding, and just being able to have, the right software stuff too that actually, gets the information out. I know sometimes a lot of emails may go to spam, some text messages may not go through. Phone calls, people may see you come up as spam. So, that's another challenge in and of itself with today's marketplace with
Yeah.
making contact with the customers.
I would agree
Yeah.
with Lester, and that's what I really love about using text request is we will literally use the terms, we are real people in a real office that you can communicate with. So we will say that to them. And we have obviously other CRMs that we can use. And we're one of the few agencies that refuse to use a lot of the marketing within our CRMs because they're so regulated. I can't
Mm,
use the word sorry. I can't use the word I apologize. So if I say, hey, I'm sorry, I'm just now getting back with you, it gets flagged
Mm.
and it gets kicked out. Text requests, we have pretty much no issues with our ability to communicate. And when people are afraid to answer the phone, we can send pictures of our business card. We can send links to
Exactly.
our Google page. They can see that we're real people. And Lester,
Yeah.
you are right on the money.
Mm-hmm.
The amount of spam that people get on their phones today makes it really difficult.
Makes
mhm.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
one of our agents today just let us know that one of our customers was texted saying they had a return premium on a policy with Progressive or yeah, and um they just needed to call this number and provide some bank account info for that refund to go back to them. And I was like, that's just great. So, just one more thing that's not valid that makes our jobs so much harder.
Yeah. I really like this thread we're going down, and it's very valuable. Samantha, you started touching on it. How do you make those texts? Are there other additional ways you can make them feel more human and break through that noise so they know that those messages are coming from you and your team? You cited some good examples with like the pictures of your business card. Are there other methods you can do to feel more human?
Um, First of all, we don't talk like robots. I make it very
Yep.
clear to my staff, you cannot talk like a robot. Hi, my
Hmm.
name is Joe and I work for. No. We use a lot of emojis. I know that sounds stupid and unprofessional,
No, it
but it
doesn't.
makes
No.
it personable to people.
Yeah.
And so my staff will when we're working a lead, they're gonna pull up someone's picture of their home on Google. We're going to try to find a little bit about them. And so we try to relate every text message. Now, when we get a new lead, we have templates set up in here that will automatically schedule the first 8 to 10 text messages to the insured. I don't know if I'm supposed to say this, but when you text someone for the first time, it's automatically going to get that text out.
Hmm.
Um, per 10 DLC law, totally okay. But we initially send 2 text messages. So we send one that says, hey, we're a real person in a real office, blah, 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 blah. We send it. And that way it has that ending on it, text out if you don't want to be texted again. And then we immediately send a second one that just says, which do you prefer? Do you prefer texting, calling, email? We know life is busy. We'll do whatever works best for you. Leave it open-ended. And sometimes people will skip right past that text out option, which kind of protects us and our ability to and then they'll kind of keep picking up.
Thanks,
Yeah.
Samantha. So it sounds like text messaging is really like the big communication channel that you're using. Christine and
Key.
Lester, do you have other channels like that?
I mean, I use text a lot. And even if it's just to say, I try to be, like Samantha was saying, very conversational so that it doesn't sound like a robot. But I also, in many cases, I'll say things like, hey, just wanted to let you know I just sent you an email, but wanted to shoot you a text and see, if email's best, if text is best, or do you want me to call you? Just let me know what works best for you. And I think just trying to really point out that, hey, we can text all day if you want to. That's totally fine. But whatever works best for you, I'm here for you. That's been really helpful.
Yeah,
Yeah.
building the rapport.
Yep.
What about you, Lester?
Yeah, I mean, same for me. A lot of stuff what Samantha said, I'll try to, with the attachments, that's very helpful that we can use attachments. Also, I put maybe my website, something that in the side of the text message, something like that to identify myself, use any information that I know about them in the content of the text message, to let them know who we are. Anything we can send out, photo or something like that, anything we can send out to let them know that they're talking to someone or somebody they can go and look up or see, to give them more confidence in who they're dealing with.
Awesome. Thank you. These are all really helpful for our audience. The next thing I want to ask, and it kind of ties into what you're talking about, but what are unique issues that you're having with policy renewals, and how do you use text messaging or other channels to make sure those renewals happen? And I'll start with Christine again, just because I
Yeah.
see you at the top. I hope that's
No,
okay.
that's fine. Yep, that's totally fine. And I didn't say at the beginning where I am located. So our agency is located in Virginia. I actually work remotely from North Carolina.
Oh,
And so we've got mostly Virginia, but some other states sprinkled in. And it's not a unique challenge, but I think the biggest challenge when we're looking at renewals right now is rate. It, some carriers are taking taking smaller rate increases, but we have some that are just so massive that it's like I don't want my first reaction to be let's reshop you, but sometimes that's kind of inevitable. So I think rate's a big thing. I think another challenge we're running into is people actually believing that we're a real person.
yeah.
So breaking through that wall.
Hmm. Samantha, how about you?
I would agree with her. Sometimes it's a slippery slope of who do you want to reach out to, who do you not want to reach out to. Sometimes if you don't reach out, they're just going to continue to renew. But the minute you say, hey, you're about to have a renewal, it's like, well, how much did it go up? Okay, I'm going to go
Right.
start shopping. You're almost triggering them to leave you. So we will typically go through our renewals, and anything that's going to have a substantial increase, that's when we'll reach out and say, hey, let's take a look at your policy here, see what we can do to adjust it. If not, then we can kind of see what options we have within our agency. But again, this is where I go back to texting. If I pick up a phone call, first of all, during the day, agents' phones are nonstop. I work about 10 hours a day and I'm on the calls straight through the day. I don't even take a lunch break. And so the last thing I want to do is get caught on calls all day long with people complaining, because that will kind of destroy our momentum for moving forward. So this is where, again, we'll pull in text, and so we'll schedule texts out to our renewal clients. And I love being able to schedule messages because I can work on my renewals in my bed at home watching Netflix at 11 o'clock at night if I want to, and I can
Right.
schedule them out for the next morning. So no one's getting to hear from me that day. But we'll just simply say, hey, your policy's up for renewal. If you want to A, schedule a meeting with Samantha, we can do that. If B, if you just want us to send you a synopsis or a video about your renewal, just to kind of let you know what's going on, she can do that. But we kind of put it in our client's hands as to, do you need a meeting? Do you just want to know what it looks like? Or is everything good with you?
Hmm.
And then it's kind of a set it and forget it. If we hear back from them, great. But when I write a policy, I always also tell the clients, listen, our phones are blowing up constantly. We're super busy. I would love to say I'll reach out to you before your renewal, but I cannot promise that. I just can't. So the ball's in your court. If you get your renewal and anything's changed, you're not happy with it, if you want to take a look at something, that's your cue to let me know and call me and schedule an appointment with me.
You briefly mentioned using text templates earlier to help with some of that communication. Do you also use them for renewals or something similar?
We have probably, I don't know, 30 different templates in there that we use.
Yeah. Can you give me an
So
example of some of those? Just curious.
well, we have, I mean, obviously the biggest thing you have in an insurance agency is servicing your policies. And I'm a very strict agent. I just hired someone new that's worked for other insurance companies and other farmers agents. And she's like, I have never seen anyone be so detailed. But that's just my fear of, I don't ever want something to fall in the cracks. I don't want my E&O ever to be in jeopardy. I don't want to lose my agency over a stupid detail. I don't want to upset a client because one of my staff members made a mistake. So we have templates for everything, whether it be your life insurance policy is scheduled to age out. But the most common one that we use, it's called a customer acceptance, and it basically says, "Hey Joe, this is Samantha with the Davis Agency. Per our conversation today, you would like to verify that you want to make the changes to policy number blah 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 blah, effective such and such date." And then we'll detail it out. We're replacing a vehicle with this vehicle. Here's your BIPD. Here's your uninsured motorist. And we will literally summarize that whole policy in there. And at the bottom, it'll say, please note that changes cannot be made without your response. Please respond with your name, today's date, and the word agreed. And we will not make any change without that. That to us is a signature. It's almost like getting an email with someone.
Yeah.
But that has saved us more times than you can count. And so that
Hmm.
is the template we use more often than anything. But we have a bazillion templates. I mean, a bazillion, and we use them for almost everything. It saves us time and it makes everything almost formatted. So I know what my staff is sending out versus, when it comes to anything like that.
Hmm. Thank you. I
Yeah,
appreciate that. It just seemed like that seemed like a nice way to handle the policy renewals. Lester, what about you? What issues do you see with policy renewals and what tactics do you do to like help with them?
Yeah, I mean, one thing is definitely, you know, customers get policy renewals, and of course, a lot of times the insurance companies may send out communication through email. They may not get it. We may send out some communication through email. It could go to spam, different things of that nature. You hear a lot of people saying they didn't know the rate was going up. What happened? Why didn't anyone reach out to them? And so, one thing with text requests that helps um, is I will go through my list of renewals, and then I'll schedule out maybe the next 2 months of renewals. I could do that in one day or a couple of days and just schedule it out to do maybe 10 messages this
Oh, I
day
love
or
that.
5 this day. So, kind of to Samantha's point, because if you get so many people all day long just kind of going through reviewing policies and rate, that's it can be a lot if you get too many at once. So but which is good because you can schedule out, the next month or so in a day with how many messages you want to go out, letting people know that policies are going to renew, and then it still gives you enough time to give enough attention to go through the policy renewal with them, because you may only get 3 or 4 a day, as opposed to when you if you're going out with everybody at one time where you're getting 10, 15, that's a whole lot. Because kind of how Samantha said, the phone is always is going nonstop all day long. I mean, we get
Yeah,
probably 50 phone calls a day inbound. That's just inbound. And so, I mean, but that's one thing that definitely helps me, is being able to schedule those out without me having to think about them every day.
hmm,
I can kind of in one day or a couple of days schedule out my next month of how I want my renewals to go.
awesome. I'm glad that scheduled messages feature can be helpful for you, Lester. That's awesome to hear. Switching gears to our next question, what are some trusted go-to strategies you have for closing deals? I think this is the big one. This is why a lot of people are tuned in. So, Christine, I'll start with you again.
I might have a unique answer to this one because I feel like I'm not necessarily a natural born salesperson. I am not going to try to hard sell you. My go-to strategies are more, let me explain to you what you have. Let me explain to you what I'm quoting for you. And let me talk to you about what I think you need based on the conversations that we've had. Um, that is how I close the majority of my deals. And even if I don't do it on our first meeting, I have people that have come back to us later and said, hey, I didn't switch last year, but I remember you really took the time to go through everything with me. And I'm interested in opening that door again. So I really think my biggest go-to is I'm not going to try to put pressure on you, but I'm going to try to make sure that whether it's through me or through somebody else, you've got what you need and what makes the most sense for your situation.
I love that. Samantha kind of touched on that with building rapport. That was a big thing she had mentioned too.
Yeah.
Yeah, Christine, you hit the nail on the head with that one. I actually interviewed someone in my office yesterday for a protege position who just graduated with a sales degree. And I
Okay.
said to him, he's young and he's nervous. And I said,
Of
here's what I'm
course.
going to teach you in my office. If you ever walk in and you're spending too much time studying the ABCs of closing and you're doing a hard sell, I'm going to let you go.
Yeah.
That does not work in my office. We don't sell product just to make the sell, ever. We have a saying in my office. It's printed on all of our paperwork for the Davis Agency, and it says people first, insurance second. My husband and I are strong, faith-filled people. That's how we live our life, and that's how we run our business. And so I train one way and one way only. Understand the product, love the people. When you have both of those things nailed down, sales will come naturally. We hear on a daily basis, no one's ever explained it to me like that. No one's ever
Yes.
explained it to me like that. Another farmer's agent friend of mine from Northern Oklahoma sent me a message yesterday where they received a lead. And so he's messaging this lead through text request because I sent him to text request. And he said, hey, this is so-and-so from such and such agency. I saw that you were shopping for insurance, wanted to see if I can help. And she said, thank you so much. I appreciate it. But I work with an agent named Samantha Davis out of Yukon, Oklahoma. And I've worked with her for years and she's the absolute best. And we will just never go anywhere else. Those are the best compliments. When someone says, hey, Samantha saved me money, that's great. But when I can't save you money, you're going to be gone. Right?
Yeah.
That's just how it
Hmm.
is.
Yeah,
So it does come down to understanding what you've got product wise, understanding the people and what they need, and then just trying to help make those things fit together because they'll stay with you because they love you,
Oh, yeah.
regardless of price.
Yep.
Thank you. Lester, what about you? What are your trusted go-to strategies or tools for closing deals?
Well, it's kind of some of the similar methods as Christine and Samantha. Definitely people first, insurance second, and I want to close people that I can help. I don't want to close anybody. I don't want to just say something, do something, and get a deal. I want to close the people where I can make sense of it to them, where I can make sense of it. And if I can do that, I definitely believe I'm definitely gonna give a proposed way on how we're gonna move forward. Make it really easy for them, and I'm definitely gonna follow up with them heavily if I feel like I'm helping them and make it comfortable, right? So, if I got someone who wants to move forward and they don't answer the phone, I say something like, hey, I definitely understand. You got a lot going on. You got things you have to do. It's my job to catch you at the best time and make this as convenient as possible for you. Don't feel bad for not answering the phone call. I'll give you a call back here later on at 5 this evening, maybe when you get off work. But, I will be calling to make this as easy as I can for you, right? To let them know, because we still want to follow up and get the deal for people that we are able to help. And where it makes sense for. And so, and a lot of times too, the main thing for me is proposing and moving the deal forward by proposing what should they do. Don't make the customer or the prospect figure out how to buy from you. Maybe propose a certain day. You see what day they pay you. Like, find any information you can, and you're in action with them to propose a way that's make it really easy for them to move forward. Maybe propose that you do it on a certain day, right? Because you pay on the third of each month. Let's set it up for next month. It don't always have to be today, right? But just find unique ways to where you're serving the other person to be able to make the deal come true.
Piggybacking on
Kind
what
of
you
the main
said,
thing.
Lester, it's one of the things I know I keep going back to text requests, but I'm honestly going to say that text request saves our business. The personalization that you can put in quoting someone used to be like, can you send me the quote? That's like death sentence, right? Because you're never going to hear back from them. So what I'll say is, hey, let me make it easier for you. And I love the snippet tool on my computer. I will just open up my system and I will snip everything out of my system and I can send it to him in text message. And I'm like, okay, do you see here when it says this? Do you see here when, and they feel like they're in my office when they're not in my office. And that will help you close a sale versus let me know when you get the quote and if you have any questions. Like that's just not going to ever happen. So I do like the ability to make it personal like that because you do want to follow up on all that, but you don't want to wait for them to open an email, try to find it in there, 4,000 emails they
Yeah.
get a day,
Yeah.
and then try to understand it, right? We have to remember these people are not insurance savvy. That's our jobs. So we have to break it down in simplest terms for them. And when I can send them a picture of what I'm trying to talk about, it makes it so much easier, whether it is
Definitely.
a snippet of a policy description, a coverage description, an endorsement, or what that's going to do to their billing, any of that kind of stuff. It makes them feel like I didn't have to go into Samantha's office. I was able to see her computer screen via text message.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
just oh, go ahead, Lester. I didn't mean to cut you
Yeah,
off.
the attachments and being able to send the photos or any attachment and stuff like that, that's definitely a game changer. And the main reason why I chose text requests.
Well, and like Lester was saying, calling and leaving a voicemail and trying to make it work for that person. That's when I also, after I get off leaving that voicemail, will shoot them a text and be like, hey, just
Mhm.
left you a voicemail or just sent you an email.
Right.
Just touch base with me. Let me know, what time works best for you.
Yeah, we keep going back to text messaging, and I am curious, like, why do you think it's such a more personal channel? And it might be like a no duh answer, but I like to hear your own personal take on it. But why is texting more personal and better at building rapport than email and phone calls? Because that's kind of the consensus I keep getting. And I'll let anyone jump in
I
with
wouldn't
that if
say
they
it's
want.
necessarily more personal than a phone call.
Hmm.
I obviously think phone calls are always more personable,
Hmm.
but it's the day we live in. Everyone's
Yes.
working and they can't answer phone calls at work. My
Hmm.
cell phone pretty much has to stay in my purse during the day because I can't. I'm too busy with work. But for the average person, they can't answer your phone calls during the day,
Mhm.
but they can answer your text messages.
Hmm.
So you're just going to have a better, I mean, I have written policies from start to stop in nothing but texting. And then it's not until after we bind the policy that they'll call in and be like, hey, it's nice to meet you.
Mhm.
It's just the world we live in. I don't necessarily love that because I come from a rural area where I want to shake your hands and the old people still walk in with their checkbook to, pay their bills. That's
Yep.
what I love, but that's not the world we live in.
Thank you.
It's
Yeah,
ease of
so
use.
Yeah. And for me, I feel like it's helpful. At least I'm not somebody who responds, just like I don't try to do a hard sell. I don't really respond to that. I like the fact that the text message allows them to look at my message and not feel pressured to respond in 2 seconds like a phone call would. I feel like it just helps establish the rapport, put a little less pressure on them, and just make that connection.
Lester, you
Yeah,
look like you had a thought.
yeah, and I would say, you know, a main thing really, phone call is definitely always more personable. A lot of times now, if you can put the right content inside the text message, it can definitely direct them to a phone call and definitely direct some type of action to get you into a phone call later. And also too, it's a way to help you identify yourself and create some type of comfort with that prospect or that customer with knowing, okay, this is who this is. So maybe I do know the phone number I can answer now. Because again, there's so much spam these days. You have to do whatever you can to let people know you are who you are.
And talking about spam, with these new blockers on phones, we don't even know if our phone calls are getting
Exactly.
through.
Yeah.
So many of them are going straight to voicemail. So, and statistically, 25% of the younger generation don't even answer a phone call. Like that's just standard. They just don't answer phones, period. And also statistically, I think it's something like 60% of people will actually listen to their voicemails, where 100% of people will read a text message. So we don't know if our phone call is even getting through. The iPhones will just block the phone number completely, so the phones never ring. So exactly what Christine said, every time I leave a voicemail, it doesn't matter what it's for, whether it's servicing or a lead, I'm going to follow up with a text message.
Yep.
So when I'm looking back on what my staff is doing, if I look at someone that has an alert for a past due document or a past due bill, if I see 3 text messages there, hey, just trying to reach out to you, we got an alert on your policy. If I see 3 different texts, then that tells me the client's been touched 6 times, because my staff knows for every text, there's a call, for every call, there's a text, period. So you're
Mhm.
just kind of double hitting.
That's great. Thank you, Samantha. I only have one more question left for our panelists, and then I'll open it up to questions from the audience. So please be thinking about anything you want to ask our team of experts here. But my final question is, what are your top tips for setting up clients for long-term success? And I'll start with Christine again, just because she's at the top. Thank you so
That's
much.
fine. No, that's no problem. And Samantha touched on this earlier. I think a big thing for me is just telling them, look, I'm here for you, but I have so many customers that, while I endeavor to reach out to you before your renewal, that may not always happen. Please, please, please reach out to me. I'll do whatever I can to help. But if you ever have any questions at all, just reach out to me. And I feel like just saying that from the beginning at least sets that expectation. Then also just simply the question of, how do you like to be contacted? That really helps me know. And then I can note that in the file. The rest of our staff can see the same thing if someone else is picking up where I left off. I think those two things really help us set those expectations for our clients and let them know what to expect from year to year, so they don't think, oh, well, she hasn't talked to me, she doesn't appreciate my business. So that helps us.
Samantha, do you have anything you'd like to add?
I would agree. You got to set the, expectation from the very beginning. And I always crack up when I say, hey, how much are they charging you monthly for your insurance? I can't tell you what they're charging me, but why? Like I always tell
Yeah.
people, listen, I can't control rates. I can't control the rates in Oklahoma. I can't control the fact that we have 1,500 square foot homes that are worth 150,000, being $7,000 a year in homeowners insurance. I have no control over that. That's just state rates. So I tell them from the very beginning, because I can't change rates, the only thing I can do is help you clean up your insurance score and help you take a little bit more power in what rates you do get. And so I think when you take the time to help them understand from a base level how to get the best rates moving forward, it makes a huge difference. So we'll bring people in, we'll clean up their insurance score, we will shop them around until we get them in with our best carriers. And then they're like, oh my gosh, everybody else's rates are going up. Mine are coming down. Why? And I'm like, well, because we cleaned up your insurance score. So we spend a lot of time from the very beginning trying to teach them from the base level how to take as much control in the industry as they can take. Outside of that, it's outside of our control. So I'll let them know, hey, listen, I will not have control over what happens at a renewal. I won't have control of what happens to your rate if you have a loss. But what I can do is take the time to go in and help adjust it for you and let you know what changes you need to make to maintain that premium the best you can. And if we need to move it, we'll move it. But I let them know ahead of time. Rates in Oklahoma change drastically all the time. You're never going to hear someone say, why did my rates go up? It's going to be, how much did my rates go up? Because we're going to take on heavy increase every single year, sometimes multiple times a year. So we all know it's happening. So just before it happens, let them know you're going to see rate increases. This is Oklahoma. So every time you get one, let's see what we can do. And then they typically understand Samantha's taking her time helping other clients. So I'll get down on her book so she can help me type thing. And having a great staff. Can I say that loud? I have an incredible staff. I have an incredible staff. They are real good at handling the smaller things for me so that I can take my time to handle the bigger things. And they know to do that, they're fantastic.
What about you, Lester?
Okay, and yeah, definitely staff is always number one, and in customer success and retaining any of your business, And then one thing too, that text request helps with. I use text requests along with my CRM is getting out newsletters or
Mm.
getting out some did you knows in both using the group message feature on there, and just finding ways to reach your customers either through some type of newsletter or telling them about claims, how to reach you first, things that can help them, even other communication that could even possibly, help them bundle, upsell them. All that stuff helps them learn about their insurance, but also too helps you keep yourself in front of them too as well, so that they think about you before, even when they shop. Because if your insureds are not thinking about you when they're shopping, they don't even call you and give you a chance to retain the business. So you want to keep finding ways to make sure that they're thinking about you, that they know who you are, they know you, and so and sending out just small things, sending out birthday text messages, anything you can do to stay in front of your current customers. That's the best way for customer success and keeping them around for a long time, making sure that when they think about insurance, they think about you.
Very
That's
good point.
awesome. Yeah. I have a few more questions that came up, but I want to pause and do a pulse check. Does our audience have any thoughts or questions that they'd like to share? We do have a chat feature and a Q&A. Okay, well then I'll ask my questions. I love that y'all have mentioned things like the scheduled messages, the templates, and the mass messages. Are there any other features? Just curious as a text request content manager, what other features are you utilizing that haven't been mentioned yet?
I mean, one feature when you send the group messages that's really helpful, especially if you're doing some kind of marketing, is being able to reply to people who have responded and or reply to people who have not responded, so that you don't have to keep creating lists,
Mm-hmm.
and also too being able to respond to, if you are getting some interaction from people and you want to set an expectation that you may not get any of the information out, or may not be able to schedule something with them to the next day, and you have 15 people who responded, you can respond to all 15 through that feature about who responded and kind of set the expectation for them. So that feature has been very helpful for me.
Yeah, and we use the autoresponder
Oh
often.
yeah.
I mean, we have it set up for, so that an automatic message goes out if it's outside of our business hours, or over the holidays, just any day that the office is closed. Those have been really helpful as well. So people know that they're not going to get an immediate answer.
Love that.
Piggyback
Samantha,
on
did you have any other?
both things they said. both things they said. We do use the autoresponder when we're not necessarily in the evenings because our phone line will ring over to my cell phone. And so I will typically answer calls in the evening in case it's an emergency. My clients know, don't ever call a claim number, please. Always call me.
Yes.
Don't call Farmers Direct, always
Mhm.
call me. And again, it's about setting expectations. I'll let them know you can always reach somebody outside of business hours, but please don't abuse that. That's meant for claims or, emergencies. You can always text the office. And I know that this really isn't part of it. One thing I do love about the texting capabilities is I'll have the client say, for example, I had a client who had liability only on a vehicle that they didn't drive very often. And he knows he's been with me long enough. So Friday evening, they decided to take that vehicle out of town on a trip. So he just texted the office knowing that we're going to be closed. And he says, "Hey, Sam, I'm going to take the vehicle out this weekend. Can you please add full coverage with $1,000 deductibles to my such and such vehicle?" Now he knows I'm not going to add that until Monday. But what does that do for him? What if he wrecks
Paper
that vehicle over
trail.
the weekend? Now I can go back to Farmers and say, "Hey, look, he requested full coverage back on Friday evening, which would have covered his loss." Um, so they'll backdate the coverage for me and include that in a claim. So it does help. Everything's time stamped. I'm able to show that the clients are wanting certain things at certain times to kind of protect them on that. Just wanted to throw that out there.
Yeah. Well, and I was going to say the other thing I love before we use text request, if we were texting, it was like we were screenshotting those texts and then emailing them to ourselves. So it's so easy through text request to download that conversation and throw it in the file. I
Yep.
love that feature.
Yeah, we every policy change we do, we connect it with a policy change summary and upload it to the policy.
Yeah.
It has saved me more times than you can imagine. The client will be like, "Hey, I had a loss. I need to file a claim." And I'll say, "You don't have full coverage on that vehicle." And then they get
Mhm.
angry. And then I can
Mhm.
go back through text requests and I can screenshot the chat that we had where they asked me to remove the full coverage. And then they're all of a sudden, "Oh, sorry, I forgot that I did that." It
Yep.
saves me from them calling and trying to file E&O or whatever. Everything in writing is fantastic.
Yep.
Hmm.
Yeah, and I would say too that the integrations, the ability to have integrations with your CRM and test requests is definitely helpful too. That it definitely helps with having to take away doing manual documents or manual recording of what went on.
What CRM do you use? Do you mind if I ask?
I use HubSpot.
Oh yeah, our HubSpot integration. Yeah, that's our most popular one. I'm glad that's helpful. Lester, I was going to ask because you briefly mentioned it, and once again, this is me being a content manager, and I'm going to utilize our time to ask a few more questions. But please, audience, feel free to chime in the chat or the Q&A. But something that I thought about while you were talking, Lester, is you mentioned texting newsletters to your clients. Could you talk about like the content that goes into that and what you do around that for those newsletters? I was just curious what kind of
Okay.
information you put in.
I mean, a lot of times, anything in the newsletter, I'm definitely using to stay in front of them, but also too using it to help me to maybe generate more sales or any endorsements, or like Samantha said, to make sure they call the agency first instead of following the claim stuff that can help them. But I mean, just current content would be like, did you know that your policy has has a limit at 5,000 for jewelry and furs and guns, stuff like that, right? If it's talking about floaters. And then you could do another one talking about claims. Did you know if you called the claims number and didn't and do not move forward with the claim, it'll be on your record. Anything, any type of deal with the insurance. Did you know that if you have like utility line coverage or something, if you have a leak or something coming from the street that the city is responsible for, your policy, if you don't have this endorsement, you could be in trouble. It doesn't cover this. It's just different things like that of that nature to maybe help tighten up the policy. Maybe that I did or didn't mention because in the beginning, because I didn't want to create any deal fatigue, but kind of want to revisit to make sure they do know about. Just like Samantha said, because in case something happens, right, they're gonna always say they did 100% of what they were supposed to do and we messed them up.
Awesome. Thank you. And do you just text that? Like, do you create the newsletter and then text it as a link or primarily email? Just curious how you get that out.
Well, I mean, I do a lot of emails, but I'll text it too. I just put some content. It won't be a link or anything like that. So I mean, it may not be
Yeah.
like a formal newsletter, but it has content over newsletter in the message.
Thank you for sharing that. I always think the SMS newsletters are a really unique use case. So I was curious about that. Well, it looks like we don't have any questions from our panelists, but I will ask, I'm sorry, questions from our audience for our panelists. But just to wrap us up nicely, because I think we've had a really good conversation, what's something that you're excited about for the future of communication in the insurance industry? And I'll start with Christine again.
Ooh, um, man, that's a hard one. I think, yeah, I think as far as what I'm excited about, just more people realizing that we can do things by text.
Mhm.
I think that that's been one thing. I mean, we've had so many people that'll say things like, "Oh, you can text? I can just text you this picture that you need." So I'm excited to kind of get that word out a little more
Mhm.
because I feel like it's much more flexible. Um, and not everybody realizes it. We try to spread that word as much as possible, but it's just, I enjoy letting people know that because it does fit with a lot more schedules.
Yeah, we have an SMS chat feature that people can put on their websites, and it's really nice because your
Yes.
clients see the chat feature and they do say, "Oh, I can text you."
Yep.
And then also just having it as a banner on your website, like
Yep.
text or call us, is huge.
Yes.
Steve Poor says, "Good reminders. Thanks for sharing. We love our text feature here." Oh, that's awesome. Samantha, what about you?
Well, what I was going to say is going to sound kind of weird, and
Go for
backwards,
it.
but follow me on it. I think we went through this period of time in insurance where people felt like they had to take off work to go into an insurance agency to talk to an insurance agent that talked above their head and they didn't understand anything. And that got scary and daunting. And then we moved to a period of time where people thought, I'll just go do this myself, right? I'm just going to go to abccompany.com. I'm going to write my own policy. And then every time I call in, I'm just going to get some chat rep in a foreign country. And they're learning that that doesn't work. They're learning that it's cost them in their claims. They're learning the frustration of a service center type experience. And so my excitement is that people in the last couple of years have learned that insurance is the one thing you should not .com yourself to death with, that you actually need to talk to a live person. And so we're getting that influx of people wanting that personal relationship again, which is nice. But now we have that ability to have that personal relationship while throwing in these new things like the texting abilities and the CRMs that really help and the integration that we can have. So we're kind of bridging those two worlds together. And I'm excited that people are actually going back to, I need to know someone, I need to talk to someone about my insurance that's actually licensed and trained on this versus me trying to be my own agent. That's what excites me, is people
Yeah.
starting to trust us again.
Well, and piggybacking on that, we get told so often that like the younger generation doesn't, they want to do it online, they want to do it themselves. And I've got several clients I can think of who may have started out that way and then talk to us for whatever reason and now swear by having an agent and want that person to talk to all the time. So I think generalizing by age, when they realize the value of an agent, I have so many younger generation customers that really appreciate that and grasp that where they didn't before.
And they're savvy about their future. These are people that are
Yes,
at 20 years old talking about their retirement. I'm like, I talk to 40-year-olds that haven't thought about their retirement.
exactly.
And so they're
Yeah.
like, yes, I want a cash growing life insurance policy. I want to build for
Hmm.
my future. I want to do all that. So they're actually more open to kind of communicate with us
Yeah.
because they can text with us, because they can have that agent without having to walk into an agency office.
Hmm.
They love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, one, and also too for me, one of the things that I'm excited about with it all is the integrations of everything and the AI agents, with AI and everything else too. Because one thing I do currently use already with test requests is Zapier,
Yeah, the Zapier
Zapier
integration.
AI agent, and so kind of one thing I can do is it saves so much time, and you can get so much more communication out to get more business. Because one thing I would do with Zapier and text requests is and Samantha, I'll give an example. I'll give an example. Samantha can probably picture, but if I got somebody working alerts and I could just take a screenshot of my screen, and then have put in a communication to Zapier to text everyone in there because it's integrated with my CRM and has all the communication with those people. It'll it'll research all of information and interaction between those people, and it may send out 10 text messages for me right
I
away.
think you might be smarter than me on that, and I may need some training.
Yes, we can talk. We can definitely talk. I'll get your contact info, Samantha. But that's definitely one thing I'm excited about is just all the integrations and what you can do with some of the AI, where you don't have to always manually go in and do those things and send the text messages and to create the group or create the list to send everybody to.
All right. I really think this is a good note to wrap it up on. Christine, Samantha, Lester, I really appreciate y'all being on. Like I said, y'all have been like case study contacts and champions for us. And we really appreciate you speaking and sharing your expertise with our other customers. If any of our attendees have any follow-up questions or thoughts, please feel welcome to reach out to us at textrequest.com. We have a nice little contact form you can use or our chat bot. But yeah, we are always here if you need anything. And thanks again, Christine, Samantha, and Lester for sharing your expertise with our audience today.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks,
Thanks for having me.
Jessica.
All right,
Yeah.
everybody have a good day. Bye.